Matty, thank you so much for your time.
No, pleasure.
Brilliant to sit down and have a bit of a chat with you, especially after such a brilliant start to the year, especially February, not only for you personally, but for the team as well. Tell me, what's the mood like in the dressing room? What's it like to be a Charlton Athletic player at the moment?
Big change from probably the October, November time. Obviously it was a difficult time really for everyone. We wasn't hitting the form that we had hoped as such after the 3-game winning start at the start of the season. Just petered out a little bit, but yeah, the feeling now is that players are believing, and I think that's the most important thing. It was the message that the coaches were saying to us back then was you need to believe in yourselves as a team, because we are a really good team, we've got a really good squad, the club's going in the right direction. Just believe that it is, and I feel like now especially that everyone's on board and everyone, like the feeling in the dressing room is everyone's believing that we can achieve something special.
There's such a togetherness in the group, and I think one of the things that's been so impressive about the season is that so many players have contributed at key moments as well. We're going to talk about your goals. Thank you, Neil. What a beautiful flat white that looks.
Is that little swan on there, is it? Yeah, beautiful.
Swan-like, almost like your elegance in front of goal, mate. That's a good little segue in there. But no, everyone's had their like individual moments of brilliance, and we've just come off the back of a really good 3-0 win. You didn't score, but I just noticed you look as happy when TC and Miles are clocking up goals as well, and that's really special, isn't it?
It is, and it's important you have that. I'm never been the sort of striker that will. Obviously, I'm disappointed when I don't score, especially if you win 3-4, 5-0. It's always nice to score, but I'm never sort of. I've played with strikers in the past that have had the ump and not been happy that other boys have scored and they haven't scored. A bit selfish in a way, but you've got to be selfish as a striker, and I am probably in front of goal. But when it comes to teammates and celebrating and being happy for teammates, I'll always be there. And I said to TC, it's about time that he's chopped inside and stuck one in the far corner.
Well, that's the thing about a striker's role. The key metric is how many times you put the ball in the back of the net. But I think for those that really forensically look at the game, strikers contribute a lot more than that. And I think even looking at your time here at Charlton, you scored like pretty much the first home game, wasn't it, against Bolton, which must have been a real relief for you. But the way that your goals have come about seem to replicate what's happened in your career. You always have these really, really good patches. Does that feel fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. I've always been like that. I wouldn't say I'm streaky in the sense that I go on little streaks and then I come out and don't score for ages. I find myself getting on a run, and that when I'm on that run and starting every week and in good form, and I feel happy and good in myself, then I can go on these runs and I feel like I'm going to score in every game. And I'm at that moment now, and that's probably the first time I've been at this moment probably for about 2-3 years.
Really?
That I was still scoring at my previous club at Coventry, but I didn't have that sort of feeling because there was other players and the team was built a little bit differently. But I've reached this moment now where I'm going into every game and I feel like I'm gonna score or be able to impact every game, and that's just the way that I am. If I'm not scoring, like at the weekend, I'm always trying to do something to have a positive impact on the team and do things like that, and that's the way that I've been throughout my whole career.
It's really interesting that you spoke about the squad having this sense of self-belief. As a centre forward, how key an ingredient is that? Because being a striker, when things are going well, it's really, really good, but to have that confidence sometimes when there are tougher moments and seasons, how have you found that as your careers and your experience has built up?
I don't really know. Me personally, I'm a striker that I never lose confidence in front of goal. I never have done. People may think that it might look like it, but me and myself, I've got so much belief in my ability in front of goal and to try and find goals out of nothing. And I just try and bring that into other players. Because obviously you look at, TC's gone on this, can go on runs where he doesn't score in a while, but he brings so much more to the team even when he's not scoring. and I know we made a joke to him about it's about time, and a few of the boys were slapping him on the head saying it's about time, but he has that, he can make something happen, and I like playing with players like that can make something happen, because I know that I'll probably get the chance off the back of them making something happen. So it's all about, hopefully he can now believe in himself that he can go and he can chop inside and whip it in the far corner and do it more often than not, and yeah, he's going to be some player. Yeah,
we're so lucky, I think, to have such a good attacking arsenal at the football club, and to be able to utilise different players in different scenarios and so on. It's really interesting hearing you talk about confidence and self-belief, and it seems like it's quite natural to you. And I wonder in part as well, when you look back on your career, because I think it's fascinating that you started your journey through the grassroots game. Shout out Faversham Strike Force, a brilliant community club where your little boy now is taking his first steps in the game. But yours perhaps hasn't necessarily been the conventional academy from a young age setup. You've learned the trade a different way. Talk us through those kind of early phases when you then made that move to Scunthorpe.
Yeah, so from the age of 4 or 5 years old, when Strike Force, like we say, that was the first year that they were set up, and they're going now, just celebrated, I don't know, 25, 30 years or whatever it is, of them being established as a club. And I started there, and I just enjoy playing grassroots football, and we're so limited down that sort of way in Kent, because we only had Gillingham at the time. I know Ebbsfleet are doing well, Dartford have had their spell, Maidstone now are towards the top end of the non-league pyramid, but
there's not a huge EFL presence, is there?
We didn't have it. And for whatever reason, Gillingham's scout network or whatever wasn't really looking at, I might be wrong, but wasn't looking at that sort of talent down there. They were probably picking up players that had probably been released from the likes of Charlton, Palace, Millwall. I ended up signing for a soccer school called First Touch, and a bloke called Billy Bone set it up, and he tried. I was part of his first age group as well, and he saw the opportunity to take lads that weren't part of an academy setup, playing grassroots Sunday League football and training us on a Saturday morning, to then in the school holidays go and play against academies all over the country. And that was the best thing that my dad let me do, is I used to go on a Saturday morning, do that, play on a Sunday grassroots, and then in the summer holidays or the half terms at school, we would love it, because the lads would be on the bus going up to Newcastle to play Newcastle Sunderland, and on the way up play Scunthorpe, and the dads would have beers on the bus downstairs, and us young lads would be on the top of the bus, and it would be like a Jolly Boys outing sort of thing. Like it was unbelievable, and to think probably without that I would have never had the opportunity to go to Scunthorpe, and then it happened that I scored loads of goals against the academies, and Scunthorpe took the chance, and probably spent too long at Scunthorpe, if I'm totally honest, and I'd done my 2 years apprentice and then all the years pro without really playing for a lot of first team football, because they were in the championship at the time. And then when you say about belief, I then dropped down to Ebbsfleet. That's when I took the drop, and because I always believed that I'd score goals, and I took the drop down to Ebbsfleet in the Conference South, and just believed that I'd score goals, and that was under Brownie.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask about that, because I'm sure lots of supporters are aware that Steve Brown was your gaffer. Yeah. What was he like as a gaffer?
I loved him. He says, and I've heard this from a few players, that they didn't think that I was going to come and sign for Ebbsfleet when they lost in the playoff final, and he thought that I wasn't going to sign, but I was always going to sign for Ebbsfleet because I wanted to come back home. My time was done at Scunthorpe, and he was brilliant with me, and the club, I think he lost his job when we were second.
Yeah, it was odd circumstances, wasn't it?
Really odd, and there was a time of change, obviously, with what was going on at Ebbsfleet, and everyone knows what the money was being spent around there at the time, and it had changed, and all of a sudden Brownie then went, and then these bigger names in the EFL started coming to Ebbsfleet, and I still had to prove that I was probably better and back my ability to go and score more goals than the lads that coming in were, and it was the second season there that I scored mid-30s in the league, and then got my move back into the Football League.
I think there's two things there which should kind of highlight your character. Being 15 years old and making that move to Scunthorpe must have taken a lot. I mean, most people are finishing their GCSEs and you're about to carve out this career down the other end of the country. But I think secondly, for lots of pros, getting that pro contract is such a milestone. And for lots of people, not just yourself, it doesn't always have that trajectory. You had a lot of loan spells, but finding a home is a phrase we use a lot, and it felt at Ebbsfleet that really was a home. And I know Brownie spoke about your first training session and he was like, what is this kid doing at this level? But you still then had to showcase that. That takes a lot of grit. Was there ever any times where you needed that bit of support or reassurance, or did you really just let your football kind of do that?
Yeah, I think I probably let my football and how much I believed that I was going to score goals just get me to where I wanted to be. Because there was times that, you know, I mentioned Scunthorpe again, but you go from being a youth team player for 2 years, where the club sorting your digs out and everything like that, to then signing your first pro deal, and then you are chucked out there
into the wild almost, isn't it?
I remember signing my first pro contract at Scunthorpe. I had no digs to stay in because I couldn't afford to pay, because they paid quite. They were obviously the club were paying quite a bit to the digs people, and I couldn't afford. So I found a family, and that I'd met through. Actually, they were next door neighbours to the digs people that I used to.
Right.
And I actually slept on a mattress on their front room every night for a year. I'd done that for a year, and then me and my friend got a place together. But yeah, for a year, and I can't remember if it was in it was the year we was in the Championship. I slept on their front room floor on a mattress that we just put behind the sofa every night.
That's incredible.
Mad, and you just think like that's the stuff that if you want to do something that much, that's what you have to do. And I'd just pay them. I think I paid them. I can't remember if it was £80 a week or £80 a month. But I had to do what I had to do.
Your goals were doing the talking. Yeah. You were climbing the football pyramid. So much success at a number of clubs, obviously most recently Coventry. And from a very selfish Charlton perspective, I think this must be such a useful stage for you now of the season, because you've been there, done that. We're talking ahead of a massive game, a London derby against Leyton Orient. The away end allocation already sold out. We're going to have so many of those between now and the end of the season. Are you leaning on any of that experience to help some of the younger boys? Or, you know, there's a few that have got that promotion from League One to the Championship. Yeah. There's good experience for us to rely on.
And I think it's important, obviously you don't want lads to get too carried away, but also at the same time you want them to keep believing, do you know what I mean? Because believing and having that self-confidence is just going to make you play better. So there's a fine line and fine margins, but yeah, it's like you said, it's probably something I can lean on, because I've gone from a big club at Coventry to a huge club at Charlton, so the away ends are going to be sold out, which is something that can really help people and also intimidate some people as well. So it's important that you try and use that. Probably use my experience to say to the lads, look, they're coming in here to watch us perform, and let's go on, put a show on for them, and but who knows what can happen.
Your journey is an incredible one, and it takes a lot of guts and perseverance. So I'm sure, probably more than most players, when you do walk out onto the Valley turf, it's every young man, every young girl's dream to do that. Even more poignantly for you, you used to go and watch games. You were part of the covered end. So when you score, particularly in front of that end of the stadium, what is that feeling like? It
was surreal the first couple of games, I must say, because I hadn't, other than I think I played against Charlton for Peterborough and we won 1-0. That was under Steve Evans. But other than that, I hadn't been back since I used to come and watch and catch the Red Line bus from outside Faversham Town.
Good old Red Line bus.
I used to come get on that, and it was a tenner for the bus and a tenner for a ticket, and we used to do that on Tuesdays and Saturdays when I weren't playing on the regular. And it was a surreal feeling when I scored the first goal, and I was like, this is mad. But yeah, now I'm probably, I'd say that I'm used to playing at home and enjoying playing, and yeah, trying to get the crowds to see what I can do really.
Yeah, and it's also really nice that the Charlton Athletic Community Trust plays a part in your story as well. As you said, you've learnt your trade for a long part in the grassroots game, and going to those summer soccer schools as well really shaped where you are today.
I was only going through literally last week. At home, my dad dropped down the old memorabilia box because he still had it at his, and I was just like, I'll just go through this, and it was all like my old school reports from year 7 onwards or something. And in one of them it said, what do you want to be when you're older? And it was like footballer. Do you play for any clubs at the moment? And at the time I was playing for Kennington down in Ashford, but I also felt I was playing for Kennington and Charlton, because even though I was at a soccer school, like the soccer schools that Charlton put on a Friday night, I still, in my head, I just classed that as I'm playing for Charlton because I'm training with their thing. So yeah, I dug that out the other day actually and saw it written down the bottom.
That is incredible. Yeah, that power of manifestation, those dreams, and you're literally living them now. And what tends to come shortly after you score a goal is the iconic golf swing. So on behalf of Steve Brown, can you give him some golfing tips, please?
I've seen Brownie's swing, so it's going to take a while, yeah. But he plays the wrong way round anyway, I think, doesn't he? He's left-handed, so yeah, I said to Brownie actually the other day, I need to get out and we need to go and have a
go a round together.
Yeah, go and have a good round together.
And Curbs and Scott, when they watch this, they'll be wanting in on that.
I know, yeah. I've heard that they all play together, so yeah.
When did you start golf? Was that again quite in synergy with your passion for football? Was it something more recent?
Yeah, I started it when I was at Scunthorpe actually, when I was 17, 18, and like the likes of Gary Hooper and Cliff Byrne, who were at Scunthorpe at the time, got me in on it, and I have that personality. I'm not saying I've got like a obsessive personality at all, but if I like something, a bit like football, I want to try and be the best version of me at that sport, and golf got me, and everyone knows that plays golf. If golf gets you and you get the golf bug, you've got it, and it got hold of me, and as soon as it got hold of me, I was like, no, I want to be the best at this, and that's just the way that I was. And I love my golf, and I've got down to a really low handicap, and
what is it?
I'm nearly off +1, which is below scratch. So yeah, I enjoy it, and it's something that I like to do in the summer and when we get some time.
Yep. So looking at golf sort of again as a discipline, does it balance with your football quite nicely? I can imagine it can be a bit of a tonic, never when the highs are high with football, but when the lows are lows, I can imagine it's a good escapism.
I used it a lot. I'd say I used it a lot last year. I used golf a lot last year when things are going wrong in football, or I wouldn't say wrong, but when you're having a tough time or you're not playing. I'd use golf quite a bit, and I'd often go out and just play 5, 6, 7 holes on my own with my AirPods in, and just use it as a time just to chill out and forget about everything basically.
Yeah.
And I see it, and I think it's important that lads do go home and switch off, and you're not constantly thinking about football, especially in the tough moments. And yeah, I use sport and especially my golf to do that.
What's worse, a tough day at the office in League One or a shocking round of golf?
Oh, I don't know. It depends where you're playing, I suppose. Yeah, but no, a tough day on the golf course it's not enjoyable.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the sort of art of being a centre forward, because I think any aspiring footballer who watches this will have learned a lot from your journey in itself. But in terms of the way that you've evolved as a centre forward, what do you think your greatest strength is?
I've never been one I'm not gonna be like an explosive TC is like a 100 metres runner. I've never ever been like that in my career. I'm sharp over 5-10 yards, and I feel like I know that can get me space when it comes into the box, and it's more my movement to get away from defenders than me pulling away from defenders and sprinting and out sprinting them. But probably, I don't really know, over the course of my career, it's probably, again, I'd probably say mindset and just being clever with my body that can well, I wouldn't say, well, yeah, it probably gives me the advantage when it comes to battling against 6'5" defenders, because everyone says, how are you doing what you're doing to them when I'm only 5'10" at a push? So
that footballing intelligence, right, is equally as important as physicality.
Yeah, being clever and just using your body, and it's the little nudges, and I'm quite good in the air for someone my height, so I
come up with some brilliant assists early this season.
Yeah, I use it to my advantage that way, and just the little nudges and just being clever, and but I like working with explosive players playing off me, and because my little touches can flick people in and things like that, and yeah, it's a side that I enjoy.
As I'm picking your brains over a coffee now, if you could pick 3 centre forwards, past, present, to pick their brains as to how they play, which forwards would you love to grab a coffee with? I know you're an Arsenal fan, so I'm thinking there's one that immediately springs to mind.
Thierry Henry, definitely. Alan Shearer. Oh.
Anyone at the moment that's like really running that you think, oh, they're...
I don't know. Haaland's obviously, he's an incredible goal scorer, but he's a bit different to me.
It's funny, isn't it? Because there's been almost like a regression at the top end in terms of that number 9, but then we're seeing a bit of a resurgence. Mbappe at Real Madrid, like, it's interesting, isn't it, how the role is constantly
I love
evolving.
the way Isak plays at Newcastle. I love the way that he plays. He's a bit different to me. I'd love, just. Do you know who I loved as a goal scorer? Was Aguero. I love watching him, and I think he's probably a different sort of player, but also because he's miles ahead of, played at the top level, and probably had that little bit of pace about him. But yeah, I loved the way that he was, and I try and look at his little movements because he was really clever in the box as well, and love them 2-3 yard tap-ins that I love. So yeah, probably them 3, I'd say.
That wouldn't be a bad discussion to have a little eavesdropping on, some real experience there. The home form's been so good of late, and we've got a really busy March to come up. I don't know if you can even look too far ahead, but I was looking at it, I was like, goodness, how do we get so many games in a month? But we do. So the squad is going to be so important, isn't it, moving forwards? It
is, yeah, and the gaffer does reiterate that a lot, that it is a squad game, and we've seen that over the course of the season with injuries and loss of form, but I think we're now at a time in the season, and we're at that headspace as a club and as a group of players that whoever comes in knows exactly what they're doing, what their role is, and that's a really good thing to have. Lads are wanting to play, which is everyone wants to play, and that's a good thing because it adds that bit of competitiveness. Like, I don't want to lose my position, so it's obviously going to keep making me play well, and I know that if I don't play well for 1-2 games, I can come out and someone else is going to come in and hopefully pick up from, like if I was in good form but lost form, hopefully pick up the form that I had, and they go on a good run, and that's good things to have as a team, and especially a team that's trying to achieve something.
You're a local lad, so you kind of know all about the family club that Charlton Athletic is. You've got 2 boys, is that right? Do they like come into the games? Do they come and watch a lot?
They've not missed a Saturday. I think they might have missed one when they were poorly, but they don't miss many, and they're football mad. I've got my little boy Joshua that's coming up 6 in July, so he's football crazy, and then little Oliver, who's just turned 1 back in December, he's picked it up a lot quicker than what Joshy would have, because he's obviously seen his older brother and myself playing. So he's 1 year old, probably younger. He was walking and kicking a ball. So yeah, they love it, and my wife Amy, she comes every game as well, and it probably drives her mad because there's footballs everywhere, and footballs all over the back garden. But that's all they've ever seen their dad do. So. If they want to play football, I support them playing football. If they don't, they don't.
You can't do it without that family support either. I can imagine when the highs are high and the lows are low, and you've got your little boys kind of there to pick you up. Did they ever give Dad a bit of a post-match assessment on how he got on, or no, they just must take such joy in seeing you play?
If I don't score, I get, why didn't you score? I'm like, well, it's not really that easy, mate. Or he just asked me to score top bins all the time, and I said, Daddy don't usually score top bins goals, mate. But
do they ever ask you for any celebrations?
yeah. I get that all the time. And
So have there been any this season that have been at their request?
not really, no. There was one, I used to do the lawnmower, which is, I don't know, I might have to bring that back out, but he was obsessed with lawnmowers at one stage, so I used to have to do the lawnmower, and that was my trademark celebration for a couple of years, and that went a bit mental. But yeah, not really. If they ask me to do any dances, I'm not dancing, because I can't dance to save my life. I've got 2 left feet, so. But yeah, no, it's such a family thing, and as long as they're enjoying it, then I'll try and continue to enjoy it as well.
Well, we hope that you keep golf swinging us up into that promotion charge, and like you said at the very, very start, there's belief, and that can go a long, long way as we approach such an exciting point in the season. I guess a final word really for the supporters and what part they can play. Like you've been an addict throughout the years, and it's a football club that when things are going really well, we know everyone's got the support behind the club just to kind of back us in this final push.
Yeah, well, we've got 14, 15 games left of the season, and yeah, we know that with the backing, like you said, we're selling out every away ground we go to now, and that's only going to help us. And if we can pull in a few more for the home games to watch us, because we're playing some good stuff as well now. So if we can pull in a few more, and hopefully we can carry on putting on a show for them, and a few 3-0 wins will definitely send them home happy, and who knows, come the end of it, we might create something special.
Well, you've had some epic afternoons at Wembley. This could potentially be special. We need to start writing those down as well. Scores the winner at Wembley for Charlton.
Yeah, that's what dreams are made of, that is.
Well, look, fingers crossed, hey, and thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed the flat white.
Yeah, beautiful.
You're a big coffee fan as well, so how do you rate the coffee?
Nice, very nice, very nice.